Glory to Jesus Christ. Zacchaeus climbed up the tree so that he could see Jesus. This line has been with me all week as I've been thinking about this homily. Zacchaeus climbed up the tree to see Jesus. What do we need to do to see Jesus? What tree do we need to climb, either metaphorically or even literally? What tree do we need to climb to see Jesus? Saint Cyril of Alexandria says that as Zacchaeus climbed the tree and saw Jesus, a seed of salvation sprouted within him. Augustine says that Jesus had already welcomed Zacchaeus into his heart. And up in that tree, Zacchaeus welcomed Jesus into his heart, just as shortly afterwards he would welcome Jesus into his home. And Augustine says, "Say what you like, but for our part, let us climb the tree. Let us climb the tree." If you like it in Latin, God only knows I remember this, but here it is. Ascende arborem. It's an imperative. Go climb the tree. Whatever that means for you, whatever you need to do to be with Jesus, to see Jesus, go climb the tree. And I think that the church gives us this reading this week because this is really the first of the Sundays that are given to us in preparation for the Great Fast that is just around the corner. And if the Great Fast means anything at all, it means go climb the tree. Climb the tree so that you can see Jesus. Now, it wouldn't surprise me at all if there were church fathers who would say the tree we're climbing is the tree of the cross. But I don't pretend to be a mystic who could fully explain that. Go and climb your cross. Goodness me, that's a tall order in more ways than one. I think you could make a whole spirituality out of just a few verses of this gospel. First of all, Jesus ran on ahead of the crowd. You could certainly talk about the spiritual necessity of running ahead of the crowd. Then climbing up into the tree, putting that effort in, climbing so that we can see Jesus. And then after he's got up there and encountered Jesus, what does Jesus tell him? Zacchaeus, hurry down. Well, thank you very much, Lord. I only just got up here. But thank you come on down because I must stay in your house today. We could talk about a movement in the spiritual life of climbing up and then climbing back down again for service. There's so much in this gospel. But what I think is absolutely wonderful is that all of these characters who encounter Jesus in the gospel, they're all meant to be you and me. It's only been a few verses since St. Luke mentioned the rich young ruler who didn't follow Jesus. He turned around and went away sad because he was very rich. But Zacchaeus comes down with delight and joyfully gives away half of his income and welcomes the Lord into his home. We all have the opportunity to be the central characters in these gospel stories. Not only the good ones, not only the Zacchaeuses, we also have the opportunity to be the people grumbling in the crowd or to be the people who don't follow Jesus, who turn their back on him and go away sad or angry. But Zacchaeus is all of us, at least all of us, have the opportunity to respond to Jesus like Zacchaeus did, joyfully and with delight and with great generosity as well. Did Jesus grab him by the scruff of his collar and say, "Right, you meanie, I'm taking you to the cleaners," and tip him upside down? Not a bit of it. It came from Zacchaeus' heart that Augustine says has received the radiance of Jesus. That seed of salvation was already sprouting. And out of his own free will and generosity, Zacchaeus gives half of his goods away. All of us, of course, have the opportunity to welcome Jesus into our homes. And yes, absolutely, in a spiritual and in a sacramental way, all of us have the opportunity at every liturgy to receive Jesus Christ into our hearts, into our spiritual homes, so to speak. But have you ever thought about what receiving Jesus into your home, your literal home, might be like? If you're anything like my family, we would have an awful lot of cleaning and tidying up to do. Jesus is coming? I mean, I remember hearing somebody joke in England that they had furniture in one room that was so special that even if the Pope had come round for dinner, they probably wouldn't have used it. We would be using our best china, our best furniture. This house would be scrubbed from top to bottom. And yet, I don't think that's what would be foremost on Jesus' mind or heart if he were to invite himself to our homes. I remember doing a class on Christian meditation. And we were invited, this is a Jesuit speaker, we were invited to immerse ourselves in the gospel scene through imagination. And I wondered about Jesus coming to my home. And I knew at the time that if Jesus were to pay me a literal visit, that of course I was going to want to invite all my friends. Of my really good friends at the time, there were 3 or 4 of them. One of them was a really happy, great big goofball girl who brought happiness everywhere she went. Another good friend of mine was a very intense person, and she was a very dedicated pro-life activist and did all sorts of good work around the university campus. And then I had another friend, and you have never met anybody with a worse self-esteem issue than this guy that was always apologizing and always tripping over himself to apologize for apologizing and then apologize for tripping over as he's trying to apologize. And as I imagined and meditated on this gospel scene, I saw Jesus come to the house where I was living and sit down with each of my dear friends, who he knew even better than I did. The girl who did all this pro-life work, sitting down with her, listening to her, answering her questions, making suggestions, making her smile. Sitting down with my friend who was always apologizing and telling him finally in a way that made him listen, you don't need to apologize anymore. And my happy-go-lucky goofball friend just leaping over the table to throw her arms around Jesus. And then me. He said, right, now Adam Peter, it's your turn. And he took me into my room and sat down with me and closed the door so that I couldn't see. Because I had 2 big issues in my life at the time. And I don't think it was right. I wasn't ready for any answers and I would have to wait. But it was a promise that Jesus knew me. As well as all my friends, Jesus knew me and Jesus knew the 2 big issues on my heart. And sure enough, over the months ahead, he certainly helped me address them. Spend some time thinking about Jesus coming to your house. Jesus coming to your friends. Jesus coming to your children. your grandchildren, and most of all, Jesus coming to you. He always comes with an answer. Even if he just says, as I think he was saying to me, I will sort it. I will sort it. But Lord, what about this? What will you do about that? How could you possibly sort it? It can't be solved at all. What are you going to do? I will sort it. And that's all you need to know. Let us all, as the fast approaches, let us take care to climb the tree in whatever way that works for you. Whatever you need to do to see Jesus. For me, there's a Catholic church round the corner from where I live with a 24-hour chapel on the side of it. I know I've got to get my butt to that chapel whenever I can do. It's just what works for me. It's my tree. I got to climb it. Your tree is going to be different. But whatever your tree is, climb it, see Jesus, and then invite him into your home. Glory to Jesus Christ.